Hey everybody, how you doing?
Good. I had to blur my background. Sorry, guys. You don't want to see all my math.
Let's see. Think we're waiting on a few more, yeah? Okay. We'll give it 2 minutes while they're waiting. I'm gonna run around the corner because I'm going from meeting to meeting. I'll be right back.
I totally understand the running from meeting to meeting thing. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good.
Good. How about y'all?
It's a good day.
It's a great day. It's 82 degrees in North Carolina. Yay.
Yes.
82?
Yes. And not a cloud in the sky.
I'm at
Sarah, you know I love this, Sarah.
I know you do. I'm at 38, so at least it's almost 40, I guess.
Yeah,
so
you
we're
can
good.
keep that.
I'm at 38. I got my sweater. Oh, I got my sweater on. I closed the wrong window. That's why I said, oh, that's why. Too many windows open. And I'm teaching a certified pool operator class. So hence the math in the background.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good question. Is anybody on here going to attend the World Aquatic Health Conference next week, Las Vegas? Anybody going besides myself?
I will briefly.
Okay, great. Just
I'll
want
be
to know
there.
if I would know some familiar faces and names out there.
Yeah, briefly here as well.
Same here.
Great. I will know some people. That's always good.
I will miss you. I wish I was going, but
I know. Hopefully February.
yep.
You hear my kids screaming in the background. It's just been like a screamy few days. I don't know why.
Yeah, if you got kids and they aren't screaming, you're doing something wrong.
Well, then I guess I'm doing everything right because they've been screaming like constantly the past few days.
I love it.
All right. Do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Sweet. All right, let's get started. All right, we're going to go a little out of order from the list that I sent yesterday, just because we started with this one, or I'm sorry, we ended with this one last time. And give me 1 second, I'll share my screen. Cool. Everybody see that? All right.
Yes.
So we ended it with this one last time. Do we still have a quorum? Because James is going to need to recuse himself. Yes, we do. Sweet. Okay. So this one refers to interlocks, basically requiring interlocks on UV systems so that when UV transmissivity goes out of range, that it would cut off flow to the water play features, shutting them down. Currently, there's no requirements that UVT is continuously measured. So it would require a change in that. there's also currently, to my knowledge and to the designers that I talked to, that there's no UVT sensors that are regularly placed in facilities to date. It's more of from what I saw, it seems more of like a drinking water, another type of like industrial use more than for pools at this point. So we had a lot of discussion last time basically about the ability for this to even be done in the aquatic community at this point, how much, and we're getting along the lines of, you know, what's already there, how much work would it entail, that sort of thing. From my discussions, I am leaning towards that at this point, it's a little bit more of a, I like the idea of it, and I think this is the direction we need to go, but at this point, I think it's more revolutionary. It would create a lot of issues, I think, in the industry, with either manufacturers having to come up with these solutions or in designs having to retrofit, or not, retrofit's not the best word, but we need to use, you know, outside UVT monitors to create these interlocks.
Yeah, the part I worry about is not just whether or not the sensors are a capability, but can they be connected to the interlocks? So overall, what's the feasibility that this is possible? That's not to the extreme of the owner operator.
Yeah, I agree. So I think it's more of in the revolutionary realm right now. I think I would encourage the submitter to continue to submit this one on the next go round, and if it doesn't, if it's not adopted, I'm not assuming anything, but I think we would need, personally, I would need a little bit more information from manufacturers, knowing that this is something that could be done with the current systems that we have in place.
I agree. Can I contact that?
Yep.
Or can I comment on that? I guess I agree. I think we're not quite there yet. I do like the direction, and I think it's important that we know how these UV systems are working. But I don't know that technology's caught up to our brains, James. It really is what that comes down to. And if we can get on board to revolutionize that. Yeah.
Right. And if we apply this to UV systems, do we have to apply it to all secondary disinfection systems?
Good question.
That's a great question, and I don't know. So, any other comments, statements before we vote?
That makes good sense to me. Thank you for doing that research.
Yep, no problem. All right. So let's go ahead and vote. Any yeses? All right. So no yeses, so we're going to go ahead and say this is not supported, and we're going to move on to the next one. All right, next one is 412 11, 412.111-001. Where did it go? No, that's my info. There we go. 412.11-001. This is emergency shutoff for spas. And Sarah, you're our facilitator. Do you want to give us a quick rundown?
No. Can you read it for me, Miklos? I'm not in my office, so I don't have all my stuff here available.
Okay. So hotel engineers repeatedly report that guests use cutoff switches when there's no emergency and it's affecting water quality because the attendants do not notice that the filter pump has been off. So there's a proposed change to the text that if the recirculation system outlets all flow under gravity, not suction, and the inlets do not create surface turbulence, the recirculation system motors may remain powered when the emergency shutoff is activated.
Okay, I can talk about it now. I just needed to refresh on what it actually said.
Yes.
So I think the request for this is to say that we don't want to have these shutoff switches on these gravity flow type
Correct. Yes.
pools, right? Is there a need to have an emergency switch on gravity flow? There still is some suction, but not as much, correct? If I understand the hydraulics of it. Some suction, but not enough.
I can't speak to the hydraulics of it.
I don't know that we need
I'm not an engineer.
I'm not either. So again, we're shooting from the hip a little bit, but if it's gravity feed, there could be some suction, but not enough to entrap somebody, is what I understand. Correct? I worry a little bit about taking out the shutoff switch from all. I worry a little bit about not having a shutoff switch required on some, or on some, but not all, because how does an inspector know if that's gravity feed, right? How do we distinguish between the two? So I worry a little bit about that.
Right.
But that's my concern. I don't know if it's founded. I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, it's required right now on all systems. Go ahead, Joe.
To me, this looks like we're trying to build in a loophole for folks who can explain their way out of something by claiming it probably is. We're going to go ahead and call it gravity. And I think it gets away from the spirit of what those emergency shutoff valves are for. That's to shut it all down.
Right.
So I'm not in favor of this.
Well, and on spas, this is an NEC requirement, and we have no control over what's in the NEC here.
That's very true too. So if the NEC requires it and we say we need to follow the NEC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not about to say we should advise against it.
And I have to agree with Sarah. From public health standpoint, there's no way really to know if it is a gravity fed drain. And I know looking through the ANSI ICC 7 standards, I mean, they still have calculations for gravity flow and how to determine how much suction is on a gravity fed drain. And it's putting a lot on inspectors who are not engineers. They're not going to know. And I have to agree with Joe. I think it's given a loophole for people because you give them a loophole, you give them an inch, they're going to take a foot. So I don't agree with this one. Not from a public health standpoint, I don't.
It almost sounds like this one is also suggesting two shutoffs, two emergency shutoffs, one for the jets and one for recirculation. If it's a true emergency, do we want to have someone figure that out?
Right.
Or what if they push the wrong button?
Yep.
I think they're doing the one that they need, but they push the other one.
Yeah. Yep. And this is coming from the Florida Swimming Pool Association, and Florida has some very unique requirements for gravity flow that I don't think we need to apply to the whole country.
Yeah, and what's wrong with having the recirculation get turned off? Why is that a problem? We're talking about emergencies here. How often are they pushing that emergency shut off?
Well,
They have
so
Pretty frequently.
yeah,
emergencies every day, every hour.
no,
It's
so
their nuisance trips.
yeah, the
Yeah.
nuisances. Yeah, so it specifically talked about hotels. And
Oh yeah, I know.
yeah, so it's kids that are, hitting that, which I get, but hey, I see it more as a sign that they need to be monitored more closely, not that less closely.
I agree.
Having
In
dealt
my
with
opinion.
having dealt with these Florida pools and spas for a long time, it is pretty easy to tell. It's very, very easy to tell if it's a gravity system or a non-gravity system. So I don't think that's really an issue. However, I think this could be confusing for folks that aren't familiar with those systems outside of the state of Florida, where they're predominant, and not even necessarily predominant on spas. It's more of a pool thing in Florida than a spa thing. A lot of the spas still have pressure filtration systems, but I would kind of give feedback back to the Florida Pool and Spa Association that it's very, very simple. If the goal of this is to overcome nuisance trips, just add some remote monitoring to the emergency shutoff that lets the engineers know when it's been tripped so they can react to it. In this day and age, there's really no reason for it to go hours and hours and become a water quality problem.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, and they really need to be following the regs in Florida. And if they want something like this to be codified, they should be reaching out to the State Health Department of Florida.
All right.
Yeah, and in Florida, it's in the building code, not a health code.
Any other comments? All right, we'll go ahead and vote. Judging from the comments, I'm going to go ahead and ask any yeses for this one. All right. So 412-111 is resulting in a not supported vote. Next up is 46151. This has to do with underwater lightning. Underwater lightning would be something. Underwater lighting. James, this one's yours. Do you want to give a rundown? And Kent, you're going to have to recuse yourself from this one. James, this one was yours. Do you want to give
I've kind of lost audio. I'm not sure. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yep. We did another one regarding light, didn't we, already?
I think it may have been this one and we didn't have a quorum.
Let me look. Yeah, I think you're right. Yes, that's correct. So we didn't have enough for a quorum. I did not mark whether we were in favor or not at the time. So we may have just skipped it.
Mikolos, I had my notes from August the 2nd that we
Okay.
did not have a quorum and that you were going to send it to TSC for review.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps, but that's what I have in my notes when we discussed that one.
Yeah, this is one I probably would need some hand holding to walk me through it. so I better understand it. I read the purpose there and it makes sense. I just want to make sure I'm understanding it the right way.
Okay. I don't believe this
I
has been.
can talk without voting if y'all want me to.
Um,
Can we allow that, Miklos?
we can allow a synopsis. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, this one was really inspired by a conflict in the North Carolina code, where I was where the code says a half a watt per square foot or 8 lumens, and but my team started designing this and said, if we go with a half a watt per square foot, we need 4 lights in the pool. If we go with 8 lumens, we need 8 lights in the pool. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense. And looking at a bit of history on the code, the 10 state standard required a half a watt per square foot for incandescent light, and that transferred to a lot of the country prior to the MAC being published. And the MAC it looks like the MAC did recognize that the LED lights were running about 1 lumen per watt, equivalent of incandescent light. And I was just trying to make some clarification here and avoid adding costs to pools that we don't need.
See. So the MAC, I'm gonna pull up the text right now. So the MAC text currently only measures in lumens, not wattage.
Well, also that part of
Is
the
that
MAC
correct?
has a section in the annex. And I am looking at that right now, going back to starting at 4615 underwater lighting. It gets into quite a bit of math. And it does talk about outdated incandescent lighting. Yeah, it looks like that whole 8 lumens, it says for the purpose, this is under 46151. Purpose
Yep.
of these requirements, underwater lighting requirements have been converted from an incandescent watt equivalence to initial lamp lumens using a conversion factor. They give some watts per square foot based on its outdoor, indoor, diving or not.
So surface requirements for pools are 1.5 watts. Or up, well, let's say up
That's
to
for an indoor
2.5.
pool.
Yeah, for an indoor pool, let's say up to 2.5 watts. So, well, so there's a couple of issues here. One is currently the MAC is not, okay, so this is, okay, so this is where underwater lighting is provided. So
Be close. I'm back on now. I lost audio there and it said my internet connection failed. You want me to discuss some of this?
If you're familiar with it,
Yeah, and James, we were looking at some of the wording that's for 4615 in the annex, 46151 in the
So I
annex.
think- so I think my interpretation of it is that so this is for underwater lighting specifically, which is not required as long as the foot candles and the water surface are being met. Is that correct? Does everybody else agree?
Yeah, I
with that?
kind of agree that as long as the amount of light is sufficient based on the type of bulb, if it's incandescent or LED, or what have you.
So really, from what I'm understanding is that even if we do lower it to 4 lumens per square foot of water surface area, it doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't change anything from a safety standpoint, because the lumens on the water surface are still going to need to be the same.
Correct. It doesn't change the overhead lighting requirement.
Right. So to me, you can have underwater lighting or you cannot have underwater lighting. Totally up to you, depending on your lumens. So to me, I
Does this
think,
apply to outdoor pools?
I'm sorry.
Does this apply to outdoor pools, particularly at night?
It could if they didn't have enough overhead lighting to reach the requirements for illumination, but which means that their underwater lighting would have to be enough to reach that requirement, and so they're still going to have to get to that illumination requirement.
Yeah.
So when I did research on this, it looked to me like that the most of the codes that I could find are all requiring 8 lumens per square foot. And that has nothing to do with watts or electricity or the type of bulb. That's just the amount of light.
Yeah.
And, that if we went at 4, we would be kind of going under what a lot of states and codes are currently requiring. And I wanted to ask Kent if there was a specific reason for requiring less than what other states are already requiring, because I couldn't get the rationale from what was written up here.
My rationale is that states are split on this.
Okay.
The states that evolved with the 10-state standard, which is the part of the country I live in, require a half a watt per square foot, which is equivalent to 4 lumens.
So the 10-state standards is the Midwest kind of area, is that?
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, it's the 10 states around the Great Lakes.
Okay.
Again, as I see it,
Is there a drawback to going from 8 to 4 initial rated lumens?
I'm not seeing one. My concern would be with health and safety, and I'm not seeing where this would change any of the health and safety requirements.
So-
Can you see the bottom better with 8, or is it the same with 4?
I don't think it would matter because you still need to have the deck illumination requirements and the water
Can I-
surface illumination requirements. Go ahead, Sarah.
We're having this discussion in Utah right now too. So our current code says 5, and we're going to change it to 10 lumens. And the question was, and the discussion was, well, has anybody reported that they can't see anything or that they're having any problems? And the answer was no. We haven't had any problems with the lower light requirement. There still is the deck requirement. So you still have to light the deck, but not the pool itself. So we're debating the same thing in Utah right now. So it's kind of a tricky scenario. We haven't found anything at the lower light level. We've required that for years and years and years in Utah. And I say, well, make it to the 10, go to 10 so that we match the MAC. And they're like, oh, well, why do we need to change?
Yeah. To me, I think personally, I think it's a non-issue because you can always go higher if you want. And there's still the requirement that the water surface for outdoor pools is at 10 horizontal foot candles, unless it's at night. That would increase to 15 foot candles. And for indoor, the requirement is 30 foot candles. And then beyond that, there's still a requirement that if you can't see the bottom of the pool, that you've got to close anyway. So to me, I think, I'd be okay with it. It doesn't seem like it's revolutionary, that it's just kind of a change in what we're going to allow.
So 4 would be less than the 5 required in Utah and the 8 required in many states and the 10 that's currently in the MAC. Is that, I mean,
That's 8 in the MAC.
It's 8 in the MAC.
Currently 8, yeah.
Throw in another wrinkle, the 2024 version of the ISTSC requires 8 lumens for underwater lighting per square foot.
All right, we're gonna have to come to a stopping point here on this one here in about 2 minutes. So we've got to move on.
I mean, I don't think a lot of us have any problem going up or down on this, but I think the real question is, if it's set at 8 in the international codes, it's set at 8 in the MAC, and it's set at 8 in a lot of places except the 10 states. You know, is there a rationale to lower it? And that's what I was kind of missing is, you know, nobody really said, oh, well, it should be lower because, or, you know, this is too much, or, and that's the problem I was having is not, do I care? I mean, I don't know anything about lumens per square foot and even how that would look. But I think the question is, do you have a justification to make a change? And
I think, to me, it looks like we're trying to do some harmonization here. Are we wanting to harmonize with the folks that have it at 4, or harmonize it with all the folks that have it at 8? And I guess that's the decision we have to make.
Well, and the purpose from Ken's point of view is that in the write-up that he did is that it essentially doubles, in this case that he brought up, essentially doubles the number of fixtures required in the pool to hit that 8.
Yeah, I think that would always be true. It would require twice as much light to provide twice as much light.
Right. So, and actually, I just thought of something else. I believe there was, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there was a CR last year to allow for dimmable lights. Currently, dimmable lights are not allowed underwater, and I think there was a CR allowing for dimmable lights that we did not. Support.
And I would always vote against dimmable lights.
I hear you, Ken. Yeah. Okay. I think we need to take a vote on this one so we can move on to the next.
So in the spirit of harmony, Joe, are you promoting the 4?
No, in the spirit of harmonization, I'm saying we keep it at 8.
Okay, I wasn't clear. Yeah, I don't personally see the reason that it needs to change, other than if we're trying to include people that are doing it different. I mean, certainly setting a minimum of 4 would include everybody, but that would change the international standards, the current MAC standards and all that without really a lot of justification or rationalization.
Shall
That-
we vote?
I was just
Yep.
gonna say that helps me in Utah to say, hey, look, the ISPSC is 8, the MAC is 8, that harmonization.
Yep. Let's go ahead and vote. We're gonna go person by person here. So Grace will get you first.
I say we stay with 8.
Okay. Sarah,
Let's stay with 8.
That was Terry, but I
Terry?
stay with 8 too.
Sorry about that.
yep. No problem. No problem. You were excited. James,
I'll go with 8 too.
Dewey, you don't count. Tom,
Tom's not as excited as Terry.
we'll come back to Tom. Joe.
Keep in mind, Tom is not on the TRC. He's just
Oh,
on
I'm
the
sorry. I'm just reading. I forget. Thanks for not voting, Tom. Joe.
Stay with 8.
Okay. Heather.
Stay with 8.
Okay. Kevin.
Stay with 8.
Levi.
Stay with 8.
All right. And I'm gonna vote no as well. So
And Miklos, the other Joe's on the call now. Sorry, I got tied up on a previous.
sorry.
Didn't get
Yep.
away. So I'll also stay with 8.
all righty. All right. So that one is done. Not supported. James, if you can go ahead and take care of the report on that one. Go to the next one. So this is changing the intent of reuse ratios for spray pads. James, you'll need to recuse yourself for this one. Terry, you are the CR admin facilitator. Do you want to give a rundown?
Yeah, we actually discussed this back on September 13, but we didn't have a quorum.
That's right. And I have a note that we were in favor at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to kind of speed things up. And yeah, the disinfection and water quality TSC said they were they approved of the change in wording. So if that helps.
Okay.
Looks pretty straightforward.
Okay. Any other comments?
Barry, thanks for noting. We talked about it previously.
Yes, thank you. Yep, that's on the end of my list. I need to move that over. All right. We're going to go ahead with any nays for this one. All right. This one is supported. Moving on to the next. This one we also have discussed previously. Kent, you are the facilitator on this. We discussed on 9/13. It is noted that the TRC was in favor at the time.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, again, this one was, I believe we were in favor of on 913, but because James was recused, we didn't have a quorum.
That's correct. So it's just basically taking out the and replacing it with an or.
Right.
So not requiring 61, but saying it can be utilized.
Right.
Okay. Any other discussion?
No.
All right. Any nays? All right. This one passes, supported. Move on to the next. This is the one that we just did. Very beginning. Okay, so we are going to go to, this is 5711. Let me count how many ones. 1111.2. This is the inconsistency in turn down system operating requirements. James will recuse himself again for this one. Joe, you're the facilitator on this, and
Yes,
it has
sir.
not been discussed before.
That is correct. We've run out of time on a couple of occasions here. So, yeah, this, as you mentioned, it addresses the inconsistencies within between the code sections, the 57111112 as listed, as well as 47110.511. Really about clarity. The 4.7 section requires both clarity and turbidity. The 5.7 entry that we're looking at here for the change request was edited previously. The previous version, I believe, left the turbidity requirement out of that, and I think that was unintentional. So the change really is just making it harmonious with the entry in 4.7, and it would require both clarity and turbidity to meet the requirements before the turn down can take place. There was no TSC evaluation available, and there were no member comments either. And so in my mind, it's pretty straightforward that we would like to have those two match up, and this seems to be the better option than removing turbidity from the other one, which we would have to do another change for.
Any other comments?
We have turbidity standards in the MAC somewhere else. Is it in 576?
Let me see, where is
47110 that I mentioned, it does speak to a 0.5 NTU on the turbidity level in the pool. Let me pull up that section.
Okay.
Yeah, so to Joseph's, I just got it up. It says so this is under the flow rates and turnover times, and it says clarity. The system flow rate shall only be reduced if the minimum water clarity required under MAC 576 is met, and turbidity level in the pool is less than 0.5 NTUs. So really, it's reiterating what's already there.
Yeah, where's the turbidity section?
It's not a turbidity section.
Well, where does it say turbidity needs to be 0.5 NTU? I just want to see it in the MAC.
Yeah, it's page 65 towards the bottom.
Okay. Do we want to reference that? This is why I'm asking. Do we want to reference this other part, this 47110.511 in this one? We reference 576.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make it thinking ahead, if someone else is thinking, oh, well, where does it say it needs to be 0.5, and we can just put it right there for them. If it's already there, it's already there.
Yeah, it's not already there. So
Well, I mean, it is. It's just 4, 7,
Right,
1,
right.
10, 5,
Yep.
1, 1.
Yep. I think that's to me, that's more editorial than
Okay.
a requirement. So I don't, unless anybody has strong feelings one way or another, I think it's more editorial, and we can probably let the CDC worry about that one, or we can worry about it next time. Oh, Joe, you're on the CDC.
Yeah, I think I know a guy over there.
We could change the language if we wanted to take out the last part where it says the turbidity in the pool is less than the 0.5 NTU, and just say the turbidity level in the pool meets the requirement provided in 4.7, and take the 0.5 out of there and just leave it in one place. Either way, I think it's saying the same thing. It's just a question of, do we want to reference both directions? Because 4.7 references 5.7.
Yeah, I'd rather have it be spelled out 0.5 NTU than reference another section and have to go look that back up in another section.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Think we're ready for a vote?
Yeah, keep it the way it is. Vote on it.
All right. Let's go ahead. Any nays? All right. Next one is going to be, that one is supported. Next one is 57211. Terry, you are the facilitator on this.
Yeah,
And
this
has not been discussed before.
no.
According to my notes.
This is a simple one, like a lot of the ones we reviewed. It's basically for filters and filter media. It's just adding besides ANSI standard 50, they're adding the OR NSF 61. So it's simply changing the text to provide the drinking water NSF standard 61 as an OR to NSF 50.
Does NSF 61 test filter media at the same flow rates that NSF 50 does? Because I know a lot of water treatment plants are gravity filters at a much lower flow rate than what pools are pushing through pressure filters.
I don't know. Anyone have any
Well,
have access to that code?
I can't answer Kent's question, but I did want to bring up that the recirculation and filtration TSC did say that this was acceptable as submitted.
Okay.
James, do you know that answer?
I'm sorry, Kent, what's the question?
Does NSF 61 in their approval of filter media, does it it tested it at the same flow rates that NSF 50 does.
I'm not aware of the flow rates in either standard,
Okay.
to be honest.
Yeah. That would be the only reason I could see to not support this.
Any other comments? Okay. So I guess, is anyone aware of, so no one is aware of whether 61 is testing to the same standard as 50?
Well, the flow rate question, whatever flow rate it is tested to would be the flow rate that it's certified for.
Right.
And so the design would still require an appropriate flow rate for the design. So I'm not sure
That it matters.
Yeah, exactly. Because, if it doesn't have the flow capacity, then it can't be used anyway.
Yeah.
Right. We're seeing that with a lot of the different glass medias under NSF 50, that some are approved for 8 GPM per square foot, and others are approved for 15 or 20.
So if they wanted a massive system that's gonna meet the flow rates that they're gonna need for a pool, then by all means.
Exactly. Have a huge
Right.
filter plant.
Right.
Have at it. You'll have the cleanest
Uh-huh.
water around. Okay. Any other comments?
I would just say that this is more evolutionary. I don't think people are gonna just jump on and start using 61 filters no matter what, but it gives options. So I think there's a way for us to evolve into knowing what the flow rates are, the giant systems or whatever. I think for the most part, builders and designers are going to design to the NSF 50, but this gives people options. So I think I like the evolution of this.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Cool. Let's go ahead and vote. We'll go ahead and any nays? All right. I think most of the comments were supportive on that, so no nays. This is supported. We will move on to the next one. This is safer filter backwashing procedures. James, you're quiet today. This one is mine. I want to say, James, you brought this one up before. But this one essentially says that when filters have been backwashed, they need to run for 5 minutes. So currently the text says just run for 5 minutes. The new text would insert with the flow diverted to waste or reuse pipe. It would also, let me see, is that new or is that already in there? Oh, so, and this would allow, so actually how it's written, adding this would take number 5 out of this backwashing with bathers present. So you can backwash with bathers present. You can backwash with bathers present if the flow after backwashing is diverted to a waste line, but the change in text is saying that no matter whether bathers are present or not, or actually bathers shall not be present, and they still need to be diverted to waste for 5 minutes. Which TSC was this? Recirculation filtration TSC took a look at it. They said that additional research and improvement is needed. Their discussion said most existing setups are not going to have the plumbing for bypass to waste after the filter. Did not feel that the benefit's worth the cost to retrofit. And because it's in section 5, it would require a retrofit, correct?
Yeah.
Plus the cost to train operators on a new backwashing procedure. It said a better proposal might tie the 5-minute requirement time to the tank size. But that's not what the CR was suggesting. Any comments on this? And this will be our last one because we're running up on time.
This one feels more revolutionary than evolutionary to me. Is I'm often designing filtration systems around available sewer capacity. If I need a backwash holding tank, we just doubled the size of it.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I feel like I may be reading this one a little differently, and I just want to make sure that I understand, but I'm reading this as the proposed change is basically to mimic the language that is currently in the MAC when backwashing with bathers present. And this is basically mimicking that into a different section of the MAC for backwashing without bathers present. So it's just adding in the waste diversion or rinse into without bathers present the same way it is with bathers present. Am I reading that incorrectly, or?
No, that is correct.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to follow the cost difference then. Oh, I guess because backwashing with bathers present would be not standard and more of a choice.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I follow.
Yeah. Yep. Any other comments? I do think that this is more revolutionary. I think I'd rather see this in the design section first before we move it into the operations section.
I agree.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote. Any yeses? No yes is heard. We're going to go ahead and say this is not supported. And we are done for the day. So give some quick announcements. I will send out the results from our votes. So y'all can go ahead and do the reports. I will also send out results for any of the CRs that we have completed at this point. If I'm missing anything, please let me know. Would like to have everyone get their reports in as we're doing it so that we can make sure that that is showing on the website. We have 100 some odd CRs that we're still going to need to do. We're going to do that in a few different ways. We're going to continue our meetings as scheduled as of right now. We are likely going to need to add probably 2. I don't want to do more than that, but probably 2 additional meetings to discuss specific CRs that are going to take a little bit more time. And we are also pulling CRs to do to potentially do a electronic kind of survey method. So think the summary method that we did last time, but online via survey. These are ones that we've identified that should be pretty straightforward. There will also be an option that if anyone feels like any of them should be taken out and discussed, you'll be able to mark that and they will be removed and will be added into discussion. But we want to try to do this to make sure that we can get through everything within our required timeline.
Question.
Yes.
Then the
There are no other meetings scheduled after today.
I
We're
got
going
one
to
on the
continue.
22nd and the 6th.
Yeah, we're continuing our cadence. If it's not, it should be in your meeting. It should be in the meeting request that y'all received. It's showing up on mine. So if it's not, let us know and Dewey can resend that to you. And I will send out, I'm finishing up the CRs and dates. So I will send those out as soon as those are done. So everyone
What about
can see.
extending the length of these meetings from 60 minutes to 90?
We can also do that. I
Or
think
even
since we
2
have
hours.
since we have most everyone here, I am available to go to 2 hours. I think it would help our cause to be able to do that, at least for the next few. Is there anyone that is unavailable to do that?
No, in general, I can do that if I'm available for the meeting at all.
Yeah, and that's understood. What I want to make sure is that we're just not going to lose a quorum after like an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So then, Dewey, if you can go ahead and extend the meeting time to 2 hours and have that update in our meeting request so it's reflective on everyone's schedules. And then we'll make sure that that gets updated and reflected in the TRC meeting schedule. And really appreciate that, everybody. That's I think that's going to help a lot. We'll be able to get through a lot more. Unfortunately, I was not planning for that today. Otherwise, I would be able to. But we'll pick it up next time. It's crunch time, but I think we will absolutely be able to get these done in time. So thank you all for being supportive and for all your help and taking the time out of your day to do this. I know it's a big ask and I really appreciate it.
I appreciate the keeping the time limits, even if we are going longer with our meetings.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I try. That's one of my big things is I don't like meetings that run forever. So
right.
All right, y'all.
Thanks, Nicholas.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for your time and your efforts today, and have a great rest of the week.
Bye-bye.
Have a good afternoon.